Hi, I'm Adam and I work as a composer on Isolated Nightmares. Today, I'm going to give a little insight into how I compose music for the game. Part 1. Concept. My compositions always begin with an element of research. It's quite hard to create music for a project that you know nothing about. So, before I start writing, I really try to get to know the subject, which, in this example, is the game's opening level, the Forest Reveal. I source documents from the story and art teams to help me understand the environment's visual atmosphere and narrative themes. This will help me create a piece of music that complements the designer's overall plan for the area. I then organise these assets into visual aids that I can refer to when songwriting. For example, here are some key themes that I've written into a word cloud, and a mood board I've created from concept art. I now know that I need to compose an enchanting but eerie piece of music to complement the area's design and themes. Now that the research has been done, I can move on to thinking about how I'm going to compose this piece of music. Part 2. Planning. When you're creating a song for a video game, it's really important to remember that this track will not be heard in isolation. It will instead be heard as part of a cohesive experience. Therefore, you need to make sure that the music you compose fits in with the game's other musical pieces. For example, if most of the score for your game is grand orchestral compositions, you wouldn't compose a death metal track for one area, as the effect could be quite jarring. Sometimes you might want this jarring effect to give the audience a certain emotion or reaction. What's important is that it's intentional and it works. At this point, it's time to think about some technical aspects of composing video game music. In this example, I'm actually working with another composer to create the soundtrack for this game. Therefore, I will have a listen to his work and I will pick out different instrumental timbres to use in my own composition. This will create consistency and cohesion across all the musical tracks in the game. The music already composed for the game uses a lot of orchestral instrumentation, notably strings, mallet instruments, brass, and percussion. Therefore, I will try and emulate this instrumental palette in my own work. Often, and in this example, video game music is meant to stay in the background, enhancing the player's experience, but not distracting from it. It's not advised to create songs that have a definitive start and end, instead composing a piece of music that loops seamlessly, creating an immersive and cohesive experience. It's also time to think about what equipment and software you want to use to create your music. If you want to have cohesion across all your tracks in a game, I'd recommend using the same software, similar instruments, and the same equipment to record all songs. Now that we know what we're doing, it's time for part 3, making music. When I start composing music, I search for what I call a spark. This is a little musical idea that you can base the rest of the track around. I check through my notes, research and pictures I've collected to see if any of them help trigger this musical idea. While doing this, I like to have an instrument in front of me. This helps me just get any ideas I have out into the open. Because I want to match the instruments of the other pieces already composed, I'm going to select a string sound to play around with. Looking through my notes, a word that comes up time and time again is tension. Therefore, I need to make sure that the music I create conveys this emotion. If you're struggling for inspiration, it's fine to take influence from others' work. For example, a classic piece of tense music is John Williams' score for Jaws. By taking the idea of using chromatic staccato notes, and using it in our own context, we can also create tension using the same devices as John Williams. Let's just try something. There's the spark. So let's record this little passage in. Now, looking through my notes again, I noticed that the story includes the main character sneaking around a gang of goblins. In music, there are certain instruments that are used as a kind of shorthand to convey certain emotions. A good example of this is a slow piano ballad being used to convey sadness. Another example of this is plucked violins being used to convey the idea of a character sneaking. As I want to capture this idea in the song, why not give it a go? I selected the instrument, and I'm just going to jam something out over the top of the initial track that I recorded. Maybe a bit too much. I quite like that. It conveys the idea of maybe a character cartoonishly tiptoeing around a gang of goblins, perhaps. Light-heartedness of the instrument also has a kind of enchanted, magical, whimsical feel to it, at least to me. Let's record it in and listen to it back. I think that what we have there already creates the idea of a slightly foreboding forest that you're sneaking around in. However, I don't think we're quite capturing the eeriness yet. So I'm going to play around with those chords a little more and maybe add a sort of chorus section that captures that eeriness. So we finish with for the chorus, why don't we keep descending? I think that has a quite creepy, eerie quality to it. Let's record something like that in, and I added some plucked strings to keep it consistent, and this is what we ended up with. Which I think does sound a little bit eerie, but I think we need another lead instrument just to really bring that out. So I have picked the Chinese uru stringed instrument in Logic, which is a very kind of dissonant sounding sitar-like instrument, and it sounds creepy as hell, I think. And we're just going to experiment with this and see if it can add another layer of dimension to the track. Too simple. Ooh. I think I've got a couple of good ideas there, so let's stitch them together and see what we end up with. I have adjusted the ending of the string part so that it loops seamlessly back into the initial opening, therefore creating an infinite loop. I am now going to add another couple of layers of strings just to thicken out each part. The only thing I think we're missing now is a little bit of that enchanting vibe and that whimsy that we talked about at the beginning. So I'm going to add a little harp playing arpeggiated chords, which I just think gives it that magical quality. And now in the final mix. And I think now we have a finished track. So that's roughly how I come up with the song and how I record it and my creative process. Obviously there's a lot of extra stuff I couldn't cover in this video, but I hope they gave a good overview. Thanks for listening to my presentation. I really hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun making it. See you later.